Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
I'm gonna show you how great I am.
In this video, we're going to talk about the next element in holistic living, and that's what we call intellectual wellness. And this talks about feeding your mind and feeding your intellect, and for you growing in terms of your knowledge base. Malcolm X, one of my heroes that I unfortunately never got to meet because he was not around when 1991 when I was born. He was assassinated back in 1965. But one of the greatest quotes that he said is that education is our passport to the future, for the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. And my dad said, my cool dad, he said to me, there are only three things that will change this world: education, education, and education. The more you know, the more you can put into action, and the more successful you can become. A mentor of mine, Andrew Eaton, said to me, the more you learn, the more it is that you earn. And if you were to think about personal growth and development, there's a saying that the essence of life is growth, and the essence of life is to do the best you can. The more you do, the more it is that you get. And human beings are the only creatures in this world that do not grow to their maximum capacity in terms of their minds. If you look at a tree, it does not stop growing until it carries on growing until it's done. Same with a dog, same with a cat, same with all the other animals out there. We are the only ones who do not grow out to our potential, and that is because we did neglect our intellectual wellness. And there are different areas of education that are out there that are very important. The first one is formal education. Now, formal education speaks to going through the normal school systems, such as from primary school to high school to university and to different higher education, and then getting certain certifications that improve your intellectual capital. So that's another form of intellectual wellness that you can actually tap into. And a second form of intellectual wellness and education that you can look into is what we call self-education. It's called informal education. Well, this is my favorite part, because there are certain things that formal education will never ever be able to teach you. You may be able to learn about a business model in formal education, but until you actually start a business or fail in a business, and that's what we call self-education, that's where you're actually going to learn things. In formal education, they may teach you about conflict management and people management, but until you are actually in the situation, that you put yourself in that situation, then you'll never be able to learn it. And that's what we call self-education. There's a sickness that happens that I've seen in my journey, is that people, they get their degrees and they enter into a workforce, or they go into entrepreneurship, and that is where they say the education stops. Where you should actually continue, always be learning continuously and continuously. And Jim Rohn, a very great mentor to a lot of people. I'm not going to say he was my original mentor, but I love listening to his tapes, and he's definitely had an impact on myself, my life, a lot of other people's lives. He said that if you work hard on your job, you will make yourself a living. But if you work hard on yourself, you'll make yourself a fortune. And that's absolutely fantastic. So I took it to heart. So how is it that you can actually increase your self-improvement and your own formal learning? It is reading the books, it is attending the seminars, and listening to the audios, and picking an area of specialization that you actually want to grow into, and actually learning and upskilling on your own time. Because those people, if you are with a person who just went to formal education and then they stop, and you keep on educating yourself and actually putting it into action, you are just going to be a head and shoulders above another person. Another thing about intellectual wellness is that you should read about things that are mainstream and things that are not so mainstream. Read things that are accepted and things that are actually controversial. In order for you to be a critical thinker, you need to critically be able to deconstruct an argument, and not just take everything on face value and just take things as for the truth. If you just take everything at face value, you are not exercising your God-given gift of critical thinking. So that's a skill that you should work to cultivate, is being able to critically analyze, break down, and assess an argument, and come up with your own conclusions, and to logically think. And that is what we're all capable of, and that's something that we should actually practice. In order for you to increase your intellectual wellness, it is very important for you to be able to teach another person. You reach a certain level of mastery if you're able to learn something, disseminate it, come up with your own frameworks, learn it, and be able to teach and to pass it on to another person. Because 90% of good, strong learning comes from when we teach other people. Another part of intellectual wellness is that you don't know what you don't know, and you can't see the picture if you're in the frame. So what you should look to do is seek a mentor, seek a coach, seek someone who knows more than you in your certain profession, so that you can grow out to exactly where it is that they are, so that your intellectual wellness can actually improve. And the final one is for you to think about different mediums for learning. There are a number of online courses that you can consume at a very cheap price, and always consistently be learning. Abraham Lincoln, one of the greatest American presidents, I think he's noted as the greatest American president, had the sentiment. Nelson Mandela had the sentiment, and my cool dad have the same sentiment. I remember my dad said to my mom, was complaining, my dad has got a master's degree, he's got an MBA, and he's got a PhD, very educated man. And my mom was complaining that there are books all over this house, I can't walk, I can't do what I want to do, I can't have my own space. And my dad said to my mom, I'm going to keep reading my books, because I have no respect for the man who does not know more today than he did yesterday. So that goes back to the philosophy that if you're not growing, you're dying, and you're dying slowly. So take intellectual wellness very seriously, grow your mind, feed your mind, apply what you learn, and you will be more on your road to success. I personally love intellectual wellness. I can't stop reading, I can't stop learning. It's absolutely fantastic for me, and it will definitely help liberate a lot of people from their own thinking. And because the biggest enemy that you will ever face is ignorance. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is disaster. Ignorance is bad. So try to educate yourself as much as possible, and you'll be on your way to success. And remember, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
It can be the day that turns your life around. All you need is a reason to turn you on. The day my life changes. Now who can do that? Anybody. When can you do it? Whatever day you pick.